Have you ever found yourself looking at the person you've been by your side for so many years and wondering, have we lost that spark we once had? It doesn't even have to be a painful doubt. Sometimes it's just that feeling that something has cooled, as if time has gently extinguished that spark that was once so intense. And look, this happens to a lot of people, you know? There's nothing wrong with that. Life goes on, children grow up, routines set in, commitments become more pressing, and love, which was once full of surprises and sighs, sometimes becomes a habit, a quiet habit. But does it have to be this way? Today I wanted to talk to you about just that, about how to rekindle that passion, even after so many years together. Because no matter how much time has passed, you're still there, side by side. That says a lot. And you know what? Just the fact that you're here watching this video shows that there's still affection, a desire to renew, to care. And that's beautiful. It doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, or older. What matters is what you decide to do with your time, with your love, from now on. You know, some people believe that after a certain age, passion retires along with the work permit, as if love and desire have an expiration date. But that's not true. We just need to learn to look at each other again with new eyes. Or maybe with the same eyes as before, but with more calm, more attention, more presence. There's a couple I'm friends with, Donna Lourdes and Geraldo. They've been married for over 40 years. One day she told me that they spent a long time as if they were just roommates. He sat in the living room watching TV, she in the kitchen sorting things out. They talked little. They slept together, but apart. Until one day, she decided to change. Not Geraldo, but herself. She started paying attention to the little things. One day she made him coffee just the way he liked it and served it with a simple note. "I thought of you." The following week, she invited him to take a walk in the square. At first he thought it was strange, he thought it was funny, but he went. And that walk became a routine. They started laughing more, talking, until they resumed the habit of holding hands. Can you believe it? It happened gradually. No romantic movies or grand declarations. They were small gestures, simple, but made with intention. And that rekindles the flame, you know? Because passion isn't just that intense fire at the beginning. It's also the warmth of a well-placed hug, the affection of a gaze that truly sees the other, the surprise of an unusual gesture. Sometimes it all starts with a question we forgot to ask years ago. How was your day? It seems so simple, but have you noticed how these questions disappear over time? We get so used to having the other person around that we forget to show interest. And love, even mature, needs to be watered like a delicate plant. You can't just leave it in a corner and expect it to blossom on its own. Some people say to me, "But we've already lived everything we had to live." Oh, really? Really? Because life has a beautiful way of surprising us when we allow ourselves to. How about learning something new together? It could be a dance, a different recipe, or even a board game. These small experiences create fresh memories, renew our bonds, and open space for new conversations and new laughs. The other day, a woman told me that she and her husband started having themed nights at home. One day it was Italian night with pasta and accordion music. Another, it was old movie night with popcorn and a blanket in the living room. And mind you, it's nothing fancy. It's just creativity, a desire to play together again. Sometimes what's missing isn't love, it's lightness. We take ourselves so seriously, especially after a certain age, but love needs a little playfulness too. Laughing at yourself, sharing stories from the past, remembering the first time you met. These memories warm the heart and help you reconnect. And you know what helps most? Touch. Touch has enormous power, even when words fade. A caress on the hand, a lingering hug, an unexpected kiss in the middle of the afternoon, these are gestures that say, "I still see you. I still feel for you." And that makes a huge difference. There's a gentleman I met at a lecture who told me something I've never forgotten. He said, "I relearned how to love my wife when I stopped looking at her with the eyes of a husband and started looking at her with the eyes of a friend." Beautiful, right?
because a friend wants to listen, wants to support, wants to share their life. And when we rekindle that friendship within our marriage, a lot changes. Of course, sometimes there are hurt feelings, unspoken words, silences that weigh heavily. But even so, if there's still a thread of affection, a remnant of desire, it's worth trying. Not with demands, but with presence.
Not demanding change, but offering true, unvarnished love. And look, even if the other person doesn't reciprocate right away, sometimes it takes a while, especially when routine has hardened the heart. But keep going. A gesture here, another there. Little by little, the mood changes. The house becomes lighter. The eyes shine again. We can indeed live a new chapter in love, even after 60 or 70. And it can be even more beautiful than the previous ones, because now there's maturity, patience, and less rush. There's more truth, and that's so precious. By the way, a good memory just came to mind, but I'll save that for later because this all got me thinking about other simple and powerful ways to rekindle the flame. Shall we continue this conversation? You know that memory I was going to tell you about? Well, once, on a wedding anniversary, a couple of friends invited me to the table. They'd been married for almost 50 years. 50 years! And yet, the way he looked at her still held a different glow. I couldn't help myself and asked, "What's the secret to staying in love after all this time?" And he, with a mischievous smile, said, "No secret, we just haven't forgotten how to date." That stuck with me, because we forget, right? We forget to date. We forget to invite the other person out to dinner, or for ice cream at the park. We forget to compliment a nice outfit, a well-groomed hairdo. We get so used to their presence that we stop seeing the details. And that's when love fades. That's why it's so important to get back into the habit of dating. It doesn't matter if you no longer have the same enthusiasm for going out every week or taking long trips. Dating can be a coffee for two at the corner bakery. It can be sitting together on the couch watching soap operas, but holding hands. It can be giving a good morning kiss and saying, "You look so beautiful today." And another thing that helps a lot is changing the scenery every now and then. If you spend the whole day at home, surrounded by tasks and commitments, the mood gets heavy, the energy stagnates. How about taking a walk? It could be a late afternoon at the beach, or a stroll through the park just to watch the sunset. These little escapes from routine help remind you that you still have a life together, outside the walls of your home. A woman I met said that she and her husband schedule a date every first Friday of the month. They don't always spend money. Sometimes it's just a picnic or visiting a new place in the city. But just having that moment alone makes them feel like a couple again, not just traveling companions. Sometimes what weighs most heavily is the silence that sets in with the years. So talk, but talk about good things. Recall happy memories, your first trip, your first kiss, that song that left its mark on you. Reliving these stories helps bring a smile to the other person's face. And take the time to listen too. Ask how they've been feeling lately, what dreams they still carry. Because we don't stop dreaming just because we get older. Often, all it takes is someone to ask. A woman I met told me she rediscovered her passion for her husband the day they gave each other a dance class. She said it was funny at first. He'd step on her foot, she'd forget the steps, but they'd laugh so much together that they'd return home arm in arm, just like when they were dating. Dancing became a ritual, an excuse to be close, and more than that, it became a symbol that even after so many years, they could still learn something new together. And speaking of learning, it's never too late to explore new experiences. A trip, a concert, a market in the neighboring town. Each new shared experience becomes a new chapter in this story, and this renews feelings. After all, monotony kills passion, but novelty fuels it. There's also that old saying about taking care of yourself to take care of others. We often fall into the trap of abandoning ourselves. We stop dressing up. We stop taking care of ourselves. And this affects our self-esteem and, consequently, our relationship. There's nothing wrong with wanting to feel beautiful, with wearing clothes that flatter you, with wearing a special perfume. This isn't vanity. It's a kindness you show yourself that reflects in the eyes of others. I always think of Donna Teresa, who, at 72, never skips putting on makeup before dinner. She herself told me, "It's not for my husband, it's for me. But he loves it." And look, don't be afraid of touch. Touch is a silent language, but full of meaning. Sometimes we avoid it because we think we're too old for it, or out of embarrassment or insecurity. But affection never goes out of style. A hand on the back of the neck, a hug from behind while the other person cooks, a kiss on the forehead before bed. These are the touches that say, "I still feel for you. You're still special to me." And remember, every couple has their own rhythm. Don't compare yourself to others.
Some people think that rekindling passion means becoming a teenager again, going out to clubs, or traveling every month. But it doesn't have to be that way. What matters is your connection, your way. Sometimes, a candlelit dinner in your own kitchen does a world of good. A handwritten letter, a note on the bedside table, a song you used to listen to. These are all little keys to open doors that seemed closed. A man in his 80s once told me, "We grow old on the outside, but our hearts don't have wrinkles." And he was right. Passion has no expiration date. Sometimes all it needs is to be invited back into the relationship. And when you allow yourself to take that first step, even a small one, it changes everything. Others notice. They feel it. It's like a candle lit in a dark room. The flame is small, but it illuminates everything around it. And I know you might be thinking, but is there still time for us? Yes, there is. There always is. As long as there's affection, as long as there's desire, there always is. And this flame that's beginning to rekindle deserves to be nurtured. It deserves to be fed. And in a moment, I want to share another little secret about how to keep this fire burning every day without much effort. Shall we? You know, I like to think of love like a bonfire. When we're young, it starts out really hot, with those high flames, intense heat, almost uncontrollable. Over time, the flames die down, the embers take over, and many people look at those embers and think the fire is gone. But it's not. It's just changed form. It's still there, just waiting for you to add more fuel to rekindle it. And this fuel doesn't have to be anything grand. It just takes the courage to take small steps every day. A loving phone call in the middle of the afternoon, even if you live together. An invitation to hang out for no reason at all. A message saying, "I'm thinking of you." These are simple gestures that fuel the embers and make the flame rekindle. I'll never forget a man named Enrique I met on a trip. He was celebrating his 60th wedding anniversary and said, "My wife still gives me butterflies every now and then." And I laughed, didn't I? I asked him what his secret was. He said, "Every day when I wake up, I look at her and think, how can I make her smile today?" Beautiful, right? And that's exactly it. When we change the question from, what does she or he do for me, to what can I do for her or him, the relationship changes completely. Because love isn't about waiting, it's about offering. It's about taking the initiative, even after so long. And I know it seems difficult sometimes, because life also brings fatigue, pain, and disagreements. But you know what I've learned? That forgiveness is part of rekindling passion too. Sometimes we carry small hurts that slowly weigh us down without us realizing it. And this weight drives us apart. So, if you can, Choose to forgive. Don't hold a grudge. The past is behind us. What matters is what you build from now on. And don't be afraid to say what you feel. Saying, "I love you" has no age limit. Saying, "You're important to me" never loses its value. And the more we talk, the more our hearts open, the stronger the relationship grows. If you're having trouble getting started, start with a note, a letter. Sometimes it's easier to put it on paper. What you can't do is let the other person guess for themselves. Another thing that makes a huge difference is laughing together. That's right, laughing. Watching a silly comedy, telling old jokes, remembering funny stories from the beginning of your marriage. Laughter has an enormous power to bring people closer, to break the ice, to turn a difficult day into something light. Love doesn't have to be serious all the time. It can and should be fun too. And finally, never forget to celebrate every achievement, no matter how small. Celebrate the simple fact that you're together, waking up next to each other, having someone to share a coffee with, someone to listen to your stories. This is a gift. Many people out there would give anything to have the company you have. So, appreciate it. Show gratitude. It warms the hearts of those who hear it, and yours too. I want you to know that it's never too late to rekindle the flame. Never. As long as there's life, there's a chance to love, to care, to renew. It doesn't matter how many birthdays you've celebrated or how many springs you've spent together. What matters is the decision you make today, now. Life after 60 can still be full of energy, choices, and joy. You just have to give it your all. So, my friend, look at the person next to you right now and make an invitation. A simple invitation. Shall we date again? Say it with a smile, with tenderness, and see what happens. Sometimes that little phrase is enough to open a new chapter in your story. And I'd love to hear about your experience.
Tell me in the comments, what do you already do to keep your passion alive? Or what was the first step you decided to take after watching this conversation? Your story can inspire others too. And if you know someone who could benefit from this message, share this video with them. Sometimes a word arrives at the right time and changes everything. Thank you for letting me be a part of this intimate and special moment. Know that you deserve love, affection, and happiness at every stage of life. Never forget, the heart has no wrinkles. It is forever young, always ready to feel again. Take care of your heart and the hearts of those around you. A big hug to you, full of affection and positive energy. And until next time.